Dr. Greg Gilligan, Principal Joe Clark, and staff members of North Andover Public Schools are going to take you on a day-in-the-life experience of an elementary student in North Andover. You will see exactly what they will see when they return to in-person schooling for fall 2020, following the shutdown due to COVID-19.
Good morning, how are you feeling? I'm feeling great. If you could go in all the way to the back, sit in the little seat all the way up against the window. We're going to try to keep our masks on the whole time. Good morning, how are you feeling?
Good, how are you feeling?
Good, you're going to go all the way to the back seat. You need to just wait 1 second, all the way to the back seat, the little seat, and go all the way up against the window. Good morning, how are you feeling?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Good, we'll have actual reading. So you're going to go all the way second to the last seat on the right-hand side, and you're going to sit all the way against the window.
Thank you so much.
Try to keep our masks on the whole ride.
We will.
Good morning. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty
Good. You're going to go take the next seat that's open on the right-hand side and please sit all the way up against the window. We're going to try to keep our masks on. Remember, we're all going to stay in our seats and we're going to keep our masks on for the entire ride. Our windows are open. No body parts go out the window. Same rules as last year, just with the mask.
All right, did everyone do their homework?
No, I have to copy Melissa's.
I did not. Where is she going? She going to baseball? Oh, nice.
You'll notice that students will have their same seat every day with the assigned names up top.
In this video footage, you may see names marked above the seats. Since this video was filmed, plans have changed slightly. The students will be seated on the bus in sequence as they are picked up from their stop. For example, if there are 5 students that wait at the first stop, they will take seats 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Folks, we're visiting the Franklin School today, which originally was Benjamin Franklin Academy.
Okay, so boys and girls, if you could just stay in your seats. We know you're excited to get to school, but I'm going to let you walk one at a time. Watch your step on the way out. And if you could come on out. Have a great day, learn a lot. Good job, TV. You did a great job keeping your mask on the whole ride. Learn a lot, and we'll see you this afternoon.
So the basic social distancing aspect will be as the kids arrive to school each day, they'll come out of their cars and every school will be slightly different based on the structure of their school. But at the Franklin, we're going to have multiple different entrances. So our first and second graders will be guided through this doorway to head to their classrooms. Middle hallway students would be guided through the cafeteria door. Our far hallway would be guided through the far door over by the special access area. Our RISE students, for those of you who don't know, our RISE students are a substantially separate program for students with autism. They will get off their bus over here, and they have an entrance that leads directly to their classroom to minimize exposure for those students as much as we possibly can. So as students come in each day, they'll be greeted along the walkway. There'll also be a staff member assigned to each doorway. And a staff member at every doorway will have a box. This is actually a box of MCAS manuals, but they'll have a box of masks available for any student who may or may not have brought one that day. No student, or no one at all, is allowed to come into the building without having a mask on in a proper fashion. So as we come up and as we get these, we will have markers along this walkway to ensure that students have that visual of what 6 feet distance looks like as they're walking up to the door. So we can enter the building. Classroom teachers will be in their classrooms greeting the students, and then the non-classroom teachers like myself, the guidance counselor, special education teachers, specialist teachers, they'll all be stationed throughout the building, greeting students and reminding them to keep their distance and head directly to their classroom. So as the students enter the building, they'll be directed to their hallway, minimizing any crossing of paths. We're actually going to a 4th grade hallway, that's why we're taking a left here. But normally this would be the 1st and 2nd grade entrance and they would head directly to their hallway. So we won't have any hallways of students crossing paths with each other. Along the hallway, we're gonna have, again, floor markers going up and down both ways to give students that visual. We don't expect students to step from one to the next. It's just so that it will guide them as they're walking so they can have an accurate visual of how to maintain that 6 feet. We also are gonna have signs posted, and we have a few posted right now of washing your hands, you know, keep your mask on. We had a few on the main doorway. I'm not sure if we saw those when we came in. But as we head down, we're gonna head right to our classroom. So we've had a few contactless water fountains installed. You can see it comes with the typical water bubbler that you were expecting, but these also, I don't have a bottle in my hand, but you put your bottle right under and it fills up the bottle for you. So there's no contact necessary. And over a place like this, we're definitely gonna have the signs indicating keep your mask on, social distancing. And we'll have markers along this in case there's multiple students coming at a time. So as we head down into this hallway, I don't know if we'll be able to get everybody in, but I don't know how many people we have. So students will be directed right into their classroom. They will not be stopping at lockers. They will bring all of their morning supplies in with them.
Ed,
Yep. And people can come in and sit right at a seat that has a chair down on the floor.
I got one.
Perfect cohort. Look at that. So the way we have these desks set up, we have groups of 2. So we're looking at having it set up in a way that the seats that you're sitting in would be, for example, cohort A. The seats with the chairs up would be cohort B. There's a few benefits to this because as the seats are pushed together, but this gives it a little bit more of a school feel to it, and it actually ended up buying us a little bit of time, a little bit of space for the classroom as well. So an A student, a cohort A and a cohort B would never sit next to each other, but cohort A to cohort B, cohort A to cohort A are separated by the 6 feet. The way we measured from the teaching board, we allotted 8 feet from the teaching board to where the first student would be sitting. The reason for that is we were figuring about 2 feet for the teacher to kind of teach and talk before they kind of enter that 6-foot zone. We want to make sure that we're giving everybody as much of a chance and to be safe as possible, and we felt that 8 feet was an adequate amount to do that. It looks, and it feels like home. The 2 seats together, it allows for a larger aisle for the teacher to walk up and down and talk to students, because we want to make sure that if we're bringing our students back, we want to make it as beneficial for teaching and learning as possible. And this is a way to do that. This is a way to allow teachers to walk around the room, interact with the students, and build those connections and relationships that are so valuable each and every day in each and every classroom.
And no 2 students share a desk?
No 2 students share a desk. That was something, we went back and forth on that a little bit, but ultimately, obviously every desk is being sprayed down every single night. The CDC guidelines for health and safety are being followed for cleaning each and every night. So in theory, we could have put half the student desks in and had them share. But for peace of mind, we want to make sure every student has their own space, but also we want students in this uncontrollable time to feel like they have something they control. This is their desk, it's their space. If they know they're coming in and sharing it with somebody else, it's different. We want to make school as much like school as we possibly can.
Mr. Clark?
Sir.
What is mask break?
That's a great question, Dr. Gilligan, thank you. So we'll have scheduled mask breaks throughout the day. Now mask breaks we're hoping to take place in a location other than the classroom. They're going to be in this seat for a good majority of the day. They're gonna eat lunch in this seat. So we wanna make mask and snack break kind of combined. In beautiful weather, we can go outside. We're also gonna utilize our cafeteria space. We're gonna utilize our gym space as much as we can. We're gonna set up, again, decals on the floor, 6 feet apart, to allow students an opportunity to take the mask off and have a snack. Also, throughout the course of the day, teachers will be building in mask breaks. You know, we've talked a lot about how we do that and what that looks like, and it can be something as simple as we're 6 feet apart, we're transitioning between writing and math. Okay, the outside rows, take a second, pull your mask down the appropriate way by pulling on the string, not on the face, which I keep doing, I know. And you put it back up. Middle row, do the same thing. 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and if you factor that into your transitional times anyways between content areas, it's natural. Any other questions?
Are all the classrooms set up like, in all the schools going to be set up like this?
So I believe we're moving towards all schools setting up in this way. Each school might be autonomous in a different way, and it will depend a little bit on the needs of a particular classroom, but for the most part, we're looking at setting up this model across the elementaries.
Dr. Mealy, anything on, I know Mr. Clark talked about cleaning protocols, and you want to say anything about the high-touch surfaces and the things that'll take place in the day?
Yep, so we're going to be augmenting our staff so that we can hit the high-touch areas more frequently. And one of the things that kept coming up was this Wednesday, which is fully remote right now, and the hybrid model being this deep cleaning day, but that's not what it is. It's, you know, it's fully remote for different reasons. We plan on having a crew in every evening. We have electrostatic sprayers that will allow us to completely disinfect the schools each evening. So it's not just Wednesday that's this deep cleaning. It's going to happen every night.
Thank you, Dr. Mealy.
And who does the deep cleaning? Is it the janitorial staff, or do you have a company come in?
No, so it's going to depend on, we've got a independent environmental engineering firm in now doing an analysis of both our systems, HVAC air quality, but also our cleaning protocols, and what are the proper protocols right now for cleaning, and so how many staff will that take? And if we have to, we'll either bring on some temporary employees, or we could contract out that particular function. Could make sense to carve that out and have somebody come in and do it. Yep.
So Mr. Clark, what happens when I need to go to the bathroom?
Well, you can raise your hand. So that's a great question, Ms. Mabley. So we will have hallway monitors out there, and we're going to have decals outside of the bathrooms, identifying, you know, who's next in line. We're going to limit bathroom use in terms of by numbers of stalls and/or sinks, but maintaining an emergency stall, especially for our littlest ones, who we know might have an emergency and might need to skip the line a little bit. But that will be closely monitored, and you know, we're looking at minimal time in the bathroom, which we always look at, but sometimes doesn't work out that way. So we're very excited about the minimal time in the bathroom these days.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so dismissal will look differently in all of the schools. Typically, we've congregated all of our bus students in the cafeteria and all of our car patrol students in the gymnasium. Obviously, we can't do that anymore. So we're looking at ways to have students exit, you know, by calling bus numbers and having smaller groups of students in the hallways at a time. We'll have to stagger the patrols of the dismissal so that we have, again, minimal students in the hallways, minimal crossing of paths as we go backwards for car duty, forwards for bus duty. So all of these things are what we're taking into consideration as we're planning with our school-based teams, and we're constant communication across the elementary schools to ensure that consistency is key, understanding that the structure of every building will bring with it some differences of how things operate. Yes?
Will the specialists come to the classroom instead of the students going there?
So the specialists can come to the classroom in the sense that they could be in this area more than 6 feet away, and if they stay with it outside of that 6 foot range, there would be no issue with them then going to the next classroom. But yes, the students absolutely would stay in here for their specialists. However that may be structured, the students would not be going to the specialist classroom in the typical way that they've gone to the art room before.
And if I don't feel well, I've come to school and I don't feel well, what would the protocols be?
So the protocol would be, if you're not feeling well, you would hopefully tell somebody, but as soon as there is a concern by the teacher or the student brought forward, we would call directly down to the nurse. The nurse would come and escort the student from the classroom to the nursing and or isolation room.
And I think Nurse Barzak, the school administrator for the entire district, I have to say, really proud of the work that you've done in conjunction with the town, and particularly Brian and Carolyn, because you know, of course, North Andover will be following all of the safety protocols. Absolutely. But as you've clicked on them in reopening plans and looked at them on websites, they can be very lengthy. And the work that you folks have done, and on the verge of publishing 8 or 9 different documents that really break it down really easily so that parents, students, staff can all understand, is amazing. And we're lucky to have you with us on the school side, and we're lucky to work with such a great health department on the town side.
So I think as a parent, not here, but just generally, I'm nervous about sending my own children home back to school. So the social emotional part of it is really important to me. Are we going to be addressing that in a different kind of way than usual?
Absolutely. So factored into our schedule now, every classroom, every day will have a morning meeting, a morning time for that social emotional learning, an afternoon meeting closing out the day, addressing those social emotional needs. And we're also working with our staff, or we're going to be working with our staff once we get back up and running. You know, the idea is, in the beginning, when we're first getting in here, that is the #1 priority. Nothing is more paramount than the social emotional learning. And that's what we should be focusing the majority of our time on in the beginning. Because we acknowledge there's going to be anxiety by parents and students coming back into this building. We left very abruptly. I remember the first time I came back to the school after we had closed down, you know, my weekly communication from March 13th was still up there. Things were on my desk, just left there. And every one of North Andover's students, not just Franklin, every one of North Andover's students had that feeling, and this will be their first time re-entering. So we're absolutely taking that into consideration and how we plan that social emotional learning. And I know Nikki Murphy, our Director of Social Emotional Learning, is planning and preparing a tremendous amount of PD for our teachers around that too. Not only how do we address the student needs, but how do we first address our own social emotional health so we can better address theirs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. So, you might not have an answer yet, but just projecting on. So it's now, you know, wintry time, and I've got my snow boots, and I got my winter coat, and I'm not using my locker. Then I just kind of hang it here, or that's the concept, right?
So we're looking at how we can use that, and you know, there's different things we can use, buckets and things like that for individuals under their seats or in front of their seats and things like that. The idea is to limit the amount of those types of items, and we're going to work with families on how do we come with what we absolutely need each and every day.
Right, I mean, hopefully it's not an issue by then, but
right.
Should it be? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking at a max cohort size of 12 based on our physical capabilities. And again, that may vary from school to school based on the structure of the building, structure of the classroom, and how many seats can physically fit in.
But for most, it's consistently the 12 is the max.
What about common supplies or materials? For example, I just noticed the library there, which is, I mean, is that something students will be able to use, or?
So, no, most likely not, or at least not in the traditional ways. And we're exploring how we can do that, and we're working with, you know, Ms. Barzak about how to work with the shareable supplies like that, the general classroom supplies. But in terms of a student's own materials, they will have their own pencil box. There won't be like the bucket of sharpened pencils that they're going to anymore. Okay. So we're going to be going out this way, so I guess I would ask that this row stand and begin filing through, maintaining your social distance. Normally we would we're not going to another classroom, but for the purposes of this, we'll go that way. And then the middle row may stand, and Mr. McDevitt, you can follow Ricky right out. And then the final row may stand. Mr. Tarzak, you can follow Mr. Hickory out.
No coffee for the bus driver, you're off tomorrow.
All right. Tomorrow I'm walking.
You learned a lot at school today. Woohoo!
Tomorrow I'm walking.
Thank you for going to the Franklin School with us today. We look forward to seeing you soon.